Good morning, good morning, good morning. I hope everyone is absolutely fabulous. So, we have started talking about arithmetic sequences, arithmetic sets of numbers, and we are going to continue this with a study on an arithmetic series. And so, there are a couple of vocabulary terms, some notes that I want you to take, and some equations that we're going to be using today that are going to be very, very important. And then there's going to be a quick 5-question quiz. So you should be able to do this. This is not a difficult concept. I will make sure that if we need to have additional practice activities, you can do so. But this is solving basic equations and excuse me, some basic formulas. So the first thing I need you to have written down is this formula here. And we're going to be using this quite a bit. This is the formula for an arithmetic sequence. In fact, what this will tell us, this is the arithmetic sequence, is the notes that I want you to have written down. This is the equation, but we need to go through and talk about what each one of those things represent. So, what this is saying is that a to the n is any term or the nth term. So, or a number, the nth number in an arithmetic sequence or in the set of numbers. So that would be if you wanted to find the 25th number in the set. If you wanted to find the 17th number in the set, this would be a sub 25, a sub 17. A of 1 is the first term in the set, the first number in the set. The n is the term number. So if you wanted to find the first term, n was going to be 1. The second term, n is going to be 2. The 35th term, n is going to be 35. D is the common difference. This is also known as the slope or the rate of change. And we're going to use this equation quite a bit. So, to find the 12th term of the arithmetic sequence, we're going to write down the equation first. A to the n equals the first term plus n minus 1 times the common difference. So the first thing I have to do is make sure I know each one of these numbers. So if I'm finding the 12th term, I know that n is equal to 12 because that's what it's asking me for. The 12th term, n equals 12. We are trying to find the value, the term, that is the 12th term. So we are trying to find a of n. Do we know the first term? Well, the first number in the sequence is 9. Do we know the common difference? The common difference is what is counting by. So we have to ask ourselves, to go from 9 to 16, we do what? We add 7. To go from 16 to 23, what do we do? Add 7. To go from 23 to 30, what do we do? Add 7. So what is the common difference? The common difference is a positive 7. So we know each one of these pieces. So we just simply substitute them. The first term is 9 plus parentheses, n is 12. So 12 minus 1 times d, and our d is 7. Well, that becomes 9 plus 12 minus 1 is 11, and 11 times 7 is 77. So we have 9 plus 77. Please use a calculator. That is going to be 86. So find the 12th term in the arithmetic sequence. A of n is equal to 86. Now you could just continue to add 12 or add 7 12 times. I think that may be a little bit longer than we would expect. So let's see these again. There's 2 more examples down here. So I'm going to write them down here, and we're just going to work our way up, since for some reason I can't roll my space down. Okay. So again, this one says that our first term in the sequence is -4. The common difference is 6. And we're trying to find the 9th term in this sequence. So first step is to write down the formula. A sub n is equal to a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times the d. Substitute your numbers in. So the first term is -4, so that goes here for for the a sub 1. The n is 9, so it goes 9 minus 1 is inside parentheses, and the d is 6. That gives us a -4 plus 8 times 6. 6 times 8 is 48. This is a -4 plus 48. Please use a scientific calculator. It is 44. So the 44th term, the 9th term in this sequence is 44. Okay, if it looks like this, a sub 20. That means, and you can see if I wrote this as a sub n, that the n is equal to 20. So in this format, my first term in the sequence is 15. The common difference is -8. The term I'm looking for is the 20th term. So I write down the formula first. A sub n equals a sub 1 plus n minus 1 times d. Plug in your numbers. 15 plus n is 20 minus 1 and d is negative 8. That becomes 15 plus 19 times negative 8. Please use Desmos if you don't know the answer to that. I don't know what 19 times negative 8 is. (19) times negative 8 is a negative 152. So it's 15 plus a negative 152. And 7, negative 137. Double check my math with the calculator. But that looks right. Yes. Negative 137 is the 20th term in this arithmetic sequence, where the first term is 15 and the common difference is negative 8. So you'd start with 15, subtract 8 each time. The 20th term is going to be a negative 137. Okay. Now, sometimes you're asked to write the equation for it. So you can see here, we first find the common difference. We figure out what's happening between each one. We substitute them in, and then you leave it as an equation. Interestingly enough, ladies and gentlemen, this is the same thing as y equals mx plus b. So what we've been doing in the last unit, just in a different format. We're just trying to see it in different ways. So here are two different ways, again, to write an equation. So sometimes you're going to be asked to find the terms. Sometimes you're going to be asked to write an equation for the nth term. So let's try these. Let's write some equations for these terms. So let's put a workspace. Okay. So again, the equation is a of n equals the first term plus the number of terms in the sequence minus 1 times the difference, the common difference. Here, we are trying to just simply write the equation. That means I'm not going to touch this and I'm not going to touch this. I need to have my first term and I need to know my common difference. So I need to first figure out what's my common difference. Well, to go from 12 to 3, we subtracted 9. And let's make sure from 3 to negative 6, yep, we subtracted 9. So I know that given this set of numbers that the common difference is a minus 9 or a negative 9. This is also needed to be my first term in the sequence, and the first term in the sequence is a 12. Okay, so we simply plug the values in. I'm going to plug in 12 for the first term and negative 9 for the common difference. Everything else we simply bring down. So a to the n plus times n minus 1. Now to simplify this, we're first going to distribute. And yes, it's a little backwards, but that's okay. We can put it in the back as well as in the front. So we are going to distribute. Negative 9 times n is a negative 9n. And a negative times a negative equals a positive. 9 times 1 is 9. So we have 12 plus a negative 9n plus 9 equals our a of n. And then here we're going to combine our like terms. So we are going to add. So it becomes a of n is equal to, we're going to add 12 plus 9 and get 21. So it's a negative 9n plus 21. And that's the formula. That means for any term in the set, you put in the number of terms. So if you wanted to figure out if 77 is part of this set, you could plug 77 here and solve this equation and find out. Or you can figure out what the 300th term is in this sequence. Plug it in here, solve the equation, and find out. Okay, let's look and see if it, in this format, set up the equation. Okay, so this one, it says a of 6. What? But I'm trying to find, I need to first find my a of 1. So this one is a two-stepper. Okay, so my a of n equals a of 1 plus n minus 1 times my d. I substitute the information that I know. Well, I know that a of n is 12. So 12 is equal to, I don't know the first term, so that's my a of 1. I do know that when my term is 12, that it is the 6th term, which means my n is 6. So that's 6 minus 1, and that my d is 8. I simply six minus 1 is 5. 5 times 8 is 40. Subtract 40 from both sides. Negative 32 is my first term. But that's not what the question was asking. The question was asking for the equation. So now I put it into the generic format. So for any term in the sequence, I take the first term, which is negative 32, and I do n minus 1 times the common difference, and the common difference is 8. I distribute. So a of n is equal to negative 32 plus 8n minus 8. Combine like terms. A of n is equal to 8n minus 40. And that is my equation for this set of numbers. So in this situation, I have to first find a of 1, the first term, because I don't have the first term here. I have the 6th term. So in order to find the equation, I need two things. In order to find the equation, I need the first term and I need the difference, the common difference. If I don't have those two, I have to do this extra step where I find it. Okay. Next vocabulary is an arithmetic mean. An arithmetic mean are the numbers that are in between two non-consecutive numbers. So these numbers here are actually called arithmetic means. This is the first term. This is the nth term. We can figure out what n is in a second. But these are the arithmetic means, the numbers in between. So you can see the first thing is to figure out what is the nth. Well, the nth term, this would be the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th term. So you can just count 6, or since there are 4 numbers in between, and then you add the first and the last, which is 2, 4 plus 2 is 6. So you have 2 different ways of doing it. You can either figure out what the missing terms in the middle are and add 2 to it for first and last, or you can simply count. Your choice. So you're first going to determine what your n is. You're going to plug your numbers in. So this is your first term. This is your nth term, which is where your n is 6. You plug it in and you find what your d is, your common difference. Well, that means you're going to add 6 each time. So you're going to take your -8 and you're going to add 6. That gives you -2. Add 6 is a +4. Add 6 is a +10. Add 6, it's a +16. So the arithmetic means are -2, 4, 10, and 16. So let's practice one. Okay, we're going to write our equation first. A to the n equals a sub 1 plus n minus 1 d. Now, find the 5 arithmetic means between -18 and 36. Well, -18 is going to be our first term. That's our a sub 1. -36 is going to be our a sub n. And we need to figure out what our n is equal to. Well, if there's 5 numbers in between this, it is going to be 7, because 5 plus 2 equals 7. So we have our a to the n. We have our first term, our a of 1, and then we have our n. So we simply plug them in. So 36 is equal to -18 plus 7 minus 1 times d, because we do not know our d yet. 36 is equal to -18. 7 minus 1 is 6, so it's 6d. Box your variable term. Opposite operation, the opposite of -18 is +18. 54 is equal to 6d. Divide by 6. 54 divided by 6 is 9. That means our common difference is 9. So what does that mean? That means that we're going to add 9 to each one of our terms. So we're going to take -18 and we're going to add 9. That gives you -9. Add 9. That gives you 0. Add 9. That gives you 9. Add 9. It gives you 18. Add 9. It gives you 27. Add 9. It gives you 36. And it will continue on forever and ever. But the arithmetic means are -9, 0, 9, 18, and 27. So far you should be able to write an equation to find any term. You should be able to find any term in a set of numbers given the first term and the common difference. And you should be able to find the arithmetic means, which would be the numbers in between two numbers given to you. The last piece I'm going to expect you to do today is covering the arithmetic series. So the other pieces of vocabulary are series. We're going to be talking about series. So a series is when the terms of the sequence are added. Let me say that again. A series is when the terms of a sequence are added together. So when I say we're doing an arithmetic series, that means we're adding the terms in an arithmetic sequence. And if I ask you for the partial sum is just the first n terms added together. We show that by having a capital S of n. There are two formulas that you can use. This one is you have to have, when given, the first term and a last term. You use this formula. And again, this is saying that the series is the sum of all of the numbers in that series. So if I asked you to add every single number between 1 and 100, you could do that because I've given you 1 and 100. You're going to have to know what we've counted by, but still, you can do that. Or it's possible that I give you the first term and I tell you what we count by. Then you can actually also find the sum of the terms. You use this equation when you do that. We're first going to focus on the general one, the basic formula. Sometimes you have to use the earlier formula to find a missing piece. So you have to find either the a of n, the a of 1, or the n before you can do this. Then you can plug it in here. So let's see this in action. We are going to find the sum of the numbers between 12 and 180 that are in this sequence. So to find the sum of the numbers, we need to have both the first and the last number. The problem is I don't know how many terms there are. This is the a of n, but I do not know what the n is. So what we have to do is first determine what is the n. So to do that, we simply use the first equation. A of n is equal to the first term plus n minus 1 times the common difference. Well, the last term is 180. The first term is 12. We do not know what n is. How do we find the common difference? Well, to do that, we need to see what are we adding to this. Well, 12 plus 7 is 19, and 19 plus 7 is 26. So our common difference is 7. All right, then we distribute. That's 7n minus 7. Combine like terms. That's 7n plus 5. And then we have to solve it for n. So we are going to subtract 5 from both sides. 175 is equal to 7n divided by 7. And it is 25. So 180 is the 25th term. So we are going to add 25 numbers together. And we want to know what that sum is. That's what this question is asking us. We're going to add 25 numbers together that are in this sequence. And we're going to add them together. So what is the sum of all of those numbers? So the sum, the partial sum, the sum of the numbers up through n is equal to, and let me look at that equation again. That's what I thought it was. It is n times a of 1 plus a of n divided by 2. So we simply plug in our numbers. We know that 180 is the 25th term, so it's going to be 25 times a of 1 is going to be 12. A of n is going to be 180 divided by 2. This equals 25 times 192 divided by 2. 25 times 81. And 25 times 81 is going to be 2,400. Let's try this again. This will be the last skill that I'm asking you to do. So let's try this again. Okay. So in this, we need to find the sum. I don't know what n is here. So I have to find s of n first. Let me write down my equation very quickly. So I need to find my n first. So a of n is equal to a of 1 plus n minus 1 times my common difference. I don't know what my n is, but I do know my a of n is 100. So 100 is equal to, my first term is 2, n minus 1 times, what is my d? My d plus 2 plus 2. I'm sure it's going to be 2. So I distribute. $100 equals 2 plus 2n minus 2. Combine like terms. 100 equals 2n. Divide both sides by 2. N equals 50. So 100 is my 50th term. So the sum of the first 50 numbers, the first 50 even numbers, the sum of the first 50 even numbers is 50 times the first number plus the last number, so 2 plus 100 divided by 2 times 50. So it's 50 times 102 divided by 2 is going to be 51. So it's going to be 51 times 50. (51 times 50), which is 2,550. That's the wrong. There we go. That one is what I'm getting, which equals 2,550. Okay. Here, I do not have my first term, my A of 1. So again, I need to plug in the information to get my A of 1. My A of n is 240, so 240 is equal to, I don't have my A of 1, plus n is 16, so 16 minus 1 times my common difference, and my common difference is 8. So 240 equals my first term plus 15 times 8, and 15 times 8, so 8 times 5 is 40, carry a 4, that would be 120. So 240 equals my first term plus 120 minus 120 on each side. My first term is 120. And if I wanted to find the sum of all of the numbers in the sequence, the first 16 numbers in the sequence, where the first number is 120, the last one is 240, and we count by eighths. The sum of the first 16 digits is 16 times, the first number is 120, the last number is 240, so it is 16 times, and we have 120 times 240 is 360, divided by 2 is 180. So we need to do 180 times 16. 180 times 16. 180 times 16. And I would ask you to use your Desmos calculator, but clearly I'm having some problems today with it. That means that the sum is 2,880. There's a quick 5-question quiz over trying to find these, plus some vocabulary. Please do your best. Show me that you know how to do this. I understand we struggled with changing numbers from explicit to recursive, but let's move on and show us that we know how to do this. I will talk to you all soon.